but you never get to hear the real thing. Sad eyes, no sad eyes, it's why you recognize me. When you looked into mine, reggae and rum, punk bridges, young love, train rides at 4 in the morning, Sundays and coffee at 4 in the morning. Been riding the same line, don't care where it's going, don't care where it's going without you. We'll go together like heartbreak and liquor. We'll go together like heartbreak and liquor. Heartbreak and liquor. Ooh. Heartbreak and liquor. We go together. We go like heartbreak and liquor. Go together. We go together, baby. Like heartbreak and liquor. Like heartbreak, yeah. Like heartbreak, yeah. Like heartbreak, yeah. Ooh, like heartbreak, yeah. Like heartbreak, yeah. Let go.
There you go. Her name is Skela. That's Heartbreak and Liquor, and we're going to bring her in right now. Come on in here, if you would, please, Skela, and say hello to everyone.
Hi, how's it going, guys?
Doing just great. So glad you could join us here today, share some time with us, and help us all to get to know you better. Now, you're based out of New York City, right?
I am. I'm based in Brooklyn.
Good old Brooklyn. I remember that way back when they had a baseball team called the Dodgers there. That was long ago in a galaxy far away. Now, Skela has been, listeners, Skela has been labeled, since we have to label everything, I think she rather appropriately labeled an independent, fearless, and genuine singer. And Skela, I know before we get into let you tell us more about yourself and what you've been doing and what you are doing, I know that you have a rather unique story about your start in the music business back a long time ago. Something about a funny tape recorder or something?
Oh, yes, actually. So I was pretty young when I started to sing, and I would spend basically like hours and days with this Mickey Mouse recorder that had a chipmunk feature on it, you know, like the chipmunks in the Disney movies.
Right.
And it would make the music go like really, really fast. And obviously it's going really fast, so it would, it would go very high as well. And that's basically how I taught myself how to sing when I was little, was by like mimicking the songs that I heard, but then also mimicking them in their high voices, which is, I think, how I first started to develop my range as a kid, which is kind of funny, but that's when I remember becoming obsessed with music and replicating the songs that I heard on this like tape player, basically.
Fantastic. That's a good story, and that's why I wanted you to share it, because it's a good one too. And really, whatever it takes to get you where you're going. Now, you really, I don't know how long you've been at it, but I know you broke back in early 2017 in New York City. You had a big show there, right?
Yeah, actually, that's probably around the time that I would say I started, like really, really started doing Skela, basically, around the time of my first EP, October 2017.
And what's happened since then?
Well, a lot happened. So where does one start? So basically, right after I put out the EP in October 2017, I of course had like a crisis about what I was doing next and who I was and how would the music continue to grow and how I wanted to basically continue being the kind of artist I wanted to be. And I came up with this idea to release a project that would essentially allow me to grow into the kind of artist I wanted to be. And with that, hopefully build into kind of telling the world about this secret project that I've been working on for a very long time as an artist. And basically, I came up with Project 10, which is 10 songs and 10 music videos. The idea is that they're released over the course of 20 weeks in 2018. So we're like well into it. And on top of that, it's going backwards. So it's a countdown, basically, to reveal this secret project that I've been working on. And I, of course, made up this idea in like a moment of enlightenment and, excitement. And I'm actually in shock that it's actually happening and that it's almost over.
That is quite a project and quite a dream on your part to not only come up with the concept, but to actually be able to put it together and make it happen. So how far along are you on those songs now?
Yeah, well, so we basically come this Wednesday, coming up on the 12th. I'm like, what day is it? Yeah, the 12th. It is.
We have that problem too.
Yeah. I know it's a Monday, maybe, I don't know. But so anyways, so on the 12th, that'll be our second to last music video and song to drop. So right now we have just 2 songs and music videos left. Like we're into it. We're almost finished. It's crazy.
Okay, now where does Heartbeat and Liquor fit into the sequence?
So Heartbreak and Liquor was basically the last song to come out. It's the third on the project. And Heartbreak and Liquor for me was one of my favorites. And it was also one of my more emotional songs, because I'm not really one to write love or breakup songs. It's just not my style. For some reason, I'm not like always writing about love, but I feel like when you do it, you have to say something new and interesting. So Heartbreak and Liquor for me was about the dichotomy of love and toxicity, and also about just something that you can never really get back because it's not good for you in a way. And when you do get it back, it will never really be as good as the real thing. So that's kind of the part of my journey anyways. Heartbreak and Liquor is like my song that I kind of went through relationships, and I wanted to make sure that I kind of like told that story. So that's where it kind of falls into Project 10. Is it's the pretty much only like real romantic song on Project 10, I feel. So, obviously everyone has love, and love is a huge part of people's lives. So I had to fit in there somehow.
A really keen-edged observation on life and love, and the fact that you were able to translate that into your own musical picture and convey the message so well. I like it. I love the song. And John Bon Jovi, you look like you have something on your mind.
Well, a question and an observation. First of all, Skela, welcome to the show. We're thrilled that you're with us. I'm listening to your song, and I'll be honest with you, this is the first time that I have heard Heartbreak and Liquor, because Dave will go out of his way to make sure I don't listen to the music because he wants my honest opinion without being jaded by having time to think about an opinion. And my initial observation is that it really has a nice ethereal feel to it, and a nice message. Your production is terrific, and so I want to congratulate you on putting together a really nice song. But
thank you.
What that is, but what this is basically all leading up to, which I try as much as I can to ask every guest that comes on to the show, what or who is your muse?
Well, I feel like my muse changes a lot in life. Like I said, I don't really write love songs. So for me, when I wrote this one, for this muse in particular, I feel like it's more based on the shadow of a person. So it's definitely, it's kind of an all-encompassing muse, if that makes sense. Like, for me, something that I've definitely struggled with is vices. And in a way, love can be a vice. And it gets tangled sometimes. So my muse, I guess, I'm trying to, like, think back on, like, exactly who it's about. But I have this really distinct memory, actually, of standing in Warsaw, which is a venue in Brooklyn. And I was standing there with my friends, and, you know, we're just homies. And I remember thinking to myself how much I missed this person that was gone. And I couldn't get them back. And that line, actually, there's a line in the song that says, "I'm at a music hall and I miss the way your tongue tastes." And it's like you can still feel the person there. And it also has this reference, obviously, to, like, I was drinking in that moment. You know, I was having a drink, watching a show. And it's weird because there are all these connections in my life with, I think, alcohol, honestly, and people that, like, you're dating and that you miss and you love. And it happens so often that, for me, like, I guess my muse is partially liquor, which is kind of a strange thing to say, but yeah.
No,
I guess, like, my
actually,
muse
It's
is,
what
like,
we want.
my
We just,
vices.
we just want honest answers.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. Vices can be a muse. Love can be a vice. It can be a good vice. Hopefully it is a good vice for you.
Skela, are there any particular artists that have influenced you?
Oh, absolutely. My number one, I always say, is this band called Frightened Rabbit. And that was the first band that ever impacted me in, like, a real way as a writer. They write a lot about the physicality of emotions, basically, and how it is even though, like, emotions are obviously a heady kind of thing, it is a very physical reaction. So that's, like, my number one influence. And then, like, over the past couple of years, I've been, like, obsessed with the 1975. I love the 1975, and additionally, I'm really into, like, kind of like lo-fi indie rock. And there's just something really pure, and there's something really pure about lo-fi music because it's not trying to sound like anything, and it's just, like, doing itself, if that makes sense. And it's always raw, it's always true. And I mean, obviously, my sound is very different than lo-fi, but I try to always, like, take a bit of inspiration from that genre, like, whether
Sure.
I like it or not. I always hear it show up.
What I'm hearing here, and tell me if I'm right or not, but I seem to be hearing the feeling that writing the lyric, the emotion, whatever is the subject matter of the song, is the priority with you, almost like you would write the lyrics first and then put the music to the lyric.
Yeah, I guess so. I wrote this song in the back of a cab, which is kind of funny. My friend Ross, who produced it, he basically sent me a song and was like, "Oh, reminds me of you. It kind of has, like, this 80s inspiration." And I remember sitting in the cab and, like, humming and just immediately thinking of, like, this hook. And I remember sitting down and being like, this has to be, if I'm going to write, you know, a love or a breakup song, it has to be true to me. And I remember then, like, kind of looping in lines from poems that I had written at a later time or an earlier time. But yeah, it's always about the words. Like, for me, words are really everything, because I think it's a responsibility to, you know, like, have a voice and be like, hey, I want to be a musician. And in that, it's like, I want to say something, you know?
Right. I think you are, if not already there, you are headed in the direction of transcending being a musician and actually being an artist. And I get that feeling from the way you talk, as well as your music, which I've ahead of John, I've had a chance to listen to a few tracks, and John's right. I do like to get his instant first impression, which is why very rarely will he get to hear the music before the show. We do that deliberately, but I have been very pleasantly surprised by you and your music, and I really do like it. And the thing that gets